Welcome to the weekly market report that's brought to you from the Minneapolis Area Realtors.
In national news, the question is, how are older Americans handling costs like housing? Older being defined greater than 65 with one person as head of household. At the last measure, 30% of older households were cost burdened. Now, according to this Harvard University study, over 12.4 million of these households spent more than 30% of their income on housing. And 50%, I'm sorry, no, not 50%, but more than half of them paid more than 50% of their monthly costs on housing, which is a huge impact for older Americans because they are spending a lot of money on housing and housing related costs right now.
Don't they recommend 20% or 30% is what your housing ideally should be if you're budgeting?
45%. 45% is like be your debt to income ratio, but this isn't your debt. This is housing costs. So it's going to be separate from other costs that they may be having. So by the time you're 65, the goal would be hopefully that you've got your housing costs should be maybe 20 or 25% of your overall expenses.
Okay. All right. Well, in December of 2025, what's happening with new listings?
For the week ending December 6th, new listings decreased 2% to 835. Pending sales decreased 9% to 656. And inventory decreased overall 1% to 9,000 total units. For the month of November, the median sales price increased 2.8% to $386,647. Days on market remained flat at 50 days, and the percentage of original list price received was 97.4%. And really the last important piece that we're really watching right now is the month supply of inventory for homes, and that decreased 4% to 2.4 months of homes available for sale in the market.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot is happening coming out of November into December. Obviously, as we get into December, we're going to see a little bit less activity, but we are trending in a positive way. So we're kind of looking forward to what's going to happen here in January.
Okay. Can you break that down into layman's terms a little bit? That's a lot of numbers that I'm hearing, but what does that mean, like historically or throughout the year?
So a lot of that data I'll cover as we kind of like break down the individual categories. Why don't we just start off with like the new listings?
Great.
Comparable,
that sounds good.
Yeah, comparable to 3 months ago, we saw 1,600 new listings. So in September for this same week time period, we had 1,600 new listings compared to this most recent period, 800 homes came on the market.
Okay.
For pending sales, we had 656 total pending sales for this prior week period. The last time we had that low number, we'd have to go all the way back to 2010 to see that same low number of pending sales. Does that make sense? I mean, we're at really a low point in the market right now. When we look at the inventory of homes for sale, the overall inventory is holding, but it's slightly trending upwards from the all-time low in 2023. So we're still very low on overall homes for sale. We've hit a low point in the last 2 years, and it looks like we're starting to recover where we're getting a little bit of an uptick. Usually these things will switch for like a 10-year window, and so we're hoping we're at the beginning of this 10-year where we see an increase in inventory over time. For days on market until a sale, currently is 50 days, and this is for data accumulated in November. The peak, like the absolute worst case scenario for days on market until a sale was 140 days on the market, and that was in 2010. 50 days, is it good or it's bad? I feel like it's a good midpoint. It means that there's properties that are staying on the market for a little bit, giving buyers a little bit of an opportunity to purchase, but homes that are still like look really great and staged and in great condition, they're still selling in that first weekend.
Okay. How many days would you say, like in COVID, like when things are going so fast, what was the average days on market then, just to compare?
During COVID days on market.
Roughly off the top of your head.
I don't remember days on market.
Okay.
So if we go back to 20 2020, we've seen the quickest time period was in 2022, and that was around 20 days on the market that you could anticipate. And
Okay.
keep in mind that's an average, so it kind of obviously skews towards the middle, but doesn't really take into account that a lot of homes are selling really, really quickly.
Sure. Okay. Well, great.
So the next one we're going to talk about is the median sales price.
Yeah. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, that number keeps climbing, right? For the month of November, we ended at $386,647. That's up 2.8% from last year. The median sales price has climbed steadily since its low in 2010, and it started to taper off mildly this year. So from 2020 till now, big climbs, and it's starting to level off 2 or 3% in the last year approximately. The next one
Okay.
we're going to take a look at is the percent of original list price received.
Yeah.
This is my favorite indicator. I use this when I'm looking at properties. The current sale to list price for November is 97.4% of list price, which is a really great number for buyers and sellers. Obviously, sellers want to get to 100%. But for reference, in 2010, this number was 92%. So what this means is that this doesn't take into account seller contribution to closing costs. I think if we take that in there, we might be closer to like 95 or 96% to list price.
I see.
But what this means is that when you're going out to look at homes, some are selling for 100, maybe 101 of list price, but it's going to be a very narrow band.
Okay.
And the average is probably going to be closer to about 95 or 96% of the list price. So keep that in mind when you're seeing these prices for homes on the market. If they're on the market for more than 5 days, these numbers are really going to be coming into play.
Okay. Can
So-
you tell me about the Housing Affordability Index?
Yes, this is one that a lot of people like to keep track of. It's currently 121. This number has been holding real steady, plus or minus a point or so for the last year. It hasn't moved much.
And what does that number mean?
Well, this index measures housing affordability for the region. For an example, an index of 120 means the median household income is 120% of what is necessary to qualify for the median priced home under prevailing interest rates. A higher number means greater affordability. Does that answer your question? 120% to median to afford the average home.
Okay. That's helpful. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, we want this number to be better for consumers. With such a tight market that we have here in the Twin Cities, even if we see rates come down considerably, with such low inventory, we can anticipate that we're gonna see prices really stacking up fast. So this number moves a lot slower than some of the other numbers.
I see. All right. And the,
Month supply of homes for sale.
yes, tell me about the month supply of homes for sale.
Currently, we have 2.4 months of inventory, which is higher than the same time last year, but still very, very low. That means that if there were no more homes that came on the market today, that in 2.4 months, every single home that was currently listed would be gone.
Okay.
We want to see something a little bit higher. Again, when I talk about like what my anticipation is, we want a balanced market. I don't necessarily want it to be favoring sellers or favoring buyers, because we need to find a cooperative middle for both parties. What's really driving the market right now, obviously in December, we don't have a lot of people thinking about selling at this time. We've also had quite a bit of snowfall this month, which we haven't had a month this snowy in quite a while. And that definitely slows down December activity. But the real driver right now is still going to be the interest rates. I think last time we checked, we're above 6%. Most of the homeowners that would typically be selling right now would have bought in like 2020. That's sort of like the window. So if you go from like 2018 to 2020, the average homeowner stays in their home for about 7 years. But those people, they have a really low interest rate. So their rate may be as low as 2% for some people, maybe to 4.5%, somewhere in that range. If you've got a rate at 3%, would you sell your home today and then buy a more expensive home at 6%? What do you think?
Well, no. In fact, even if I was wanting to downsize, I might be discouraged to even do that because my rate is at 3%, at 6%, downsizing is I'm going to be paying more for less than what I have now, which I
So-
think is why there's so many baby boomers holding on to inventory because the numbers aren't adding up.
It doesn't make sense. And then there's some other things that are inhibiting that. Some of it is taxation, earned income, what it would look like if you sold your house, how much capital gains you might have to pay. So there's a lot of pressure on the boomers right now to make a decision about, do they want to sell? What is that going to look like? And when do they want to exit the market? I think the big thing we need to watch out for is obviously if the economy starts to make sort of a downturn. Obviously, I'm a real estate agent, I'm not an economist, but if we did see a downturn, it'd be very unfortunate for those sellers who had retained those high home values for so long. They could have possibly tapped into that equity sooner, and they may see that number get squished a little bit.
Sure.
So, it's something that every individual homeowner, they have to make a personal decision based on where they're at in their relative curve of home ownership. So,
Well, thanks, Justin. This is all really helpful, very eye-opening, and I'm excited to see what 2026 brings us.
yeah, absolutely. If you got some value from this video, I'm excited. We got Paula is going to, now that we have our own home studio, she's going to be helping out with some of my market reports. She's a licensed agent, but she's not a realtor. So she's just going to be helping along and bringing a pretty face to the program because that's important, right? So if you got some value, like, subscribe, share the video. And if you're thinking about buying or selling this year, reach out and schedule a one-on-one consult. It takes about 30 minutes. We'll go through that whole buy or sale process and get you up to speed for what it's going to look like in 2026.
All right, thanks, Justin, and thank you for watching.